Hey, it's Sam Crowley. Welcome to, I'm going to introduce this guy to my left. First of all, I think we're on a yacht. Typically I say every day is Saturday Central, but this is Dave Sharp, co-founder of Empower Network. Dave, how are you, buddy?
Good, man.
Good. You got to tell me, where are we, dude?
We are on a yacht somewhere, and don't ask me what day it is, so we'll default to Saturday. But I actually think it's a weekday.
Sometime during the week, right? But these people already know every day.
We're in
Saturday.
Florida, in the beaches of St. Petersburg, which is about midway down, right out around Tampa Bay.
It's a beautiful day, man, and look, I've only known Dave a few months, and I'm going to talk about how we met and why it's important. You really got to pay attention in this video, though, because I wanted Dave to hook him up with a mic, get the camera going, to talk about what happens when you step out in faith, when you open yourself up to meet new people in life, and really network. And when you network, you really build your net worth, and I really, really believe that. Dave is co-founder of Empower Network, is a huge organization, online marketing platform. And let me tell you something, man. I didn't like you a few months ago because you stole my thought. And you know why? I didn't have the guts to do what you did, man. And that has put together just an unbelievable product with an army of 100,000 or so, give or take, customers that you guys have brought in over the last 15 minutes. Congratulations,
Thanks,
man.
bro.
That's an unbelievable accomplishment. And the whole everyday Saturday message, right? I mean, literally, it could be Tuesday, it could be Sunday, it could be Saturday. It wouldn't matter to you, right? And you and I came together. I don't believe it's coincidence. I don't believe it's happenstance. I don't believe that, we just happen to be on a yacht floating down, this body of water in Florida. And so I think it's really cool that we're together.
Yeah.
And we've been masterminding here for a day or so. And Dave, first of all, congrats on everything you've done with Empower Network. Flat out awesome. Yeah. And talk a little bit about your story, the vision that you had with Empower Network, and then also talk about why you think we're together here and the power of networking. But give us some backdrop on yourself and Empower Network.
Yeah, sure, man. Gosh, where do I start? It's fascinating because we're sitting here on a yacht out in the beaches of Florida, right? And we're two guys who come from different ends of the spectrum. I mean, you came from the corporate world. I came from really being homeless, truthfully, and struggling with all kinds of things in life that I'll talk about here in a second. But the fact of the matter is that nothing does happen in life for I believe that nothing is coincidence. I believe that things are on purpose, and I believe that the more you are on purpose in your life, the more that you can create extraordinary things inside of your life. I'm on purpose about meeting successful people who are also on purpose, and that's why I think you and I connected. We did an event a couple of weeks ago in Atlanta.
Like literally, we met, and it was like we knew each other.
Yeah, we knew each other, and I think that what happens is when you've got this mindset of really unplugging from the matrix and creating something for yourself, creating a business, creating and designing your life, you just attract people to you. I don't want to get into a bunch of voodoo with you can sit and meditate and kind of think about a Lamborghini, it's going to show up in your driveway. Yeah. But I do believe that what you put out comes back. It's like BS out, BS in, right? Or BS in, BS out, right? And when you develop this mindset, I don't think that people are born with it. I think that you can develop an entrepreneurial mindset for success. I believe when you have that, you attract people. 5 years ago, I was at rock bottom, right? I was struggling with a drug addiction. I was struggling with alcoholism. I had found myself in a place that I didn't know if I was going to be able to get out of alive. I had struggled for several years, off and on, been homeless, been couch surfing, been sleeping in some of the worst places that when I think about now, I can't even imagine that I was there. And I came to a point in my life to where I was at rock bottom. I had enough pain. I was walking around like an empty shell, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And the only thing that was left was this physical shell that was walking around that knew that I just had more pain than pleasure, right? And the novelty of walking around being miserable had wore off. The novelty of being right had wore off. The novelty of thinking that I knew everything had wore off. I mean, it kept me pumped for a lot of years. I'm right. I'm not going to listen. I'm going to do this. Right. But the truth of the matter is I realized that my best thinking got me exactly where I was at, which at that point was crawling up onto my dad's doorstep, who hadn't seen me in a year and a half, and asking and begging him, after telling him that he was a jerk and didn't know what he was talking about, if he'd let me come into his house and sleep on his couch and help me get my life together. What I was really asking him to do was help me save my life, because my life needed saving at that point. I didn't have a purpose. I had a daughter that I wasn't being a father to. I had a son that I wasn't, or a mother that I wasn't being a son to. And I knew I had a lot to contribute in life. I mean, whether you're watching this video and you're somebody who has dealt with homelessness, whether you're somebody who's stuck in a cubicle feeling like you're in a solitary confinement prison cell, I mean, it's all the same, because the fact of the matter is it just manifests in different ways, right? I mean, the feelings are very similar. Where you felt back several years ago when you were in a corporate job and your daughter came up to you and asked you if today was Saturday, right? And it was a Wednesday or a Tuesday, and you knew that even come Saturday, it probably wasn't going to be Saturday, because who knows, you're probably going to spend that day in the office.
Thinking about Monday.
The feelings were the same, right? So that's what identifies and brings us all to this place to where we're at a crossroads and we have to make a decision. And I wasn't quite ready to think about entrepreneurialism back then. I was just thinking about making the pain go away. Well, my dad didn't know that I was going to stay clean. He didn't know that I was going to get my life together. He just took a risk and rolled the dice and let me in. And I ended up sleeping on his couch for about 4 months until he realized that I wasn't going away. And then I made my first big purchase, which was a twin bed. And he was a bachelor at the time, lived in a studio apartment here in Florida. We put both of our beds inside this room and we slept side by side. Now, if you can imagine this, a dad and his son sleeping in the same room for a couple of months until he realized that I really wasn't going anywhere. By this time, he worked construction. He was letting me come to his construction site, and he was letting me, collect a paycheck from his paycheck. I wasn't yet earning a paycheck of my own, and he was letting me get a leg up in my life and helping me get a new perspective and a new purpose. Now, he didn't even realize that he was doing this. The funny thing was 6 months after I got and had ended up staying clean. Now, he had been drinking a lot of his life too, and he actually got sober, and I've now been clean and sober for over 5 years, but he's been clean and sober for 4.5 years.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you never know what type of impact you're going to have on people. A lot of people want to inspire or influence or impact maybe their father, maybe their mother or father, maybe their son or daughter. Maybe they want to inspire and stand in front of stages of 4,000 and 5,000 people like we have and do on a regular basis, and tell their story to people. That really, to close that loop, I had no idea that I was going to make an impact on my father like that. But what ended up happening was when he was helping me, I ended up helping him. It was kind of a two-way street. It's kind of like what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So after 2 years of working construction, I was at the same place that you were. I was swinging a hammer on a construction site, coming home every day. And I remember this miserable, obviously.
Cool, you got to be,
and
right?
It's Florida, so it's hot, right? I mean, hot as, you know what it was hot as. And I was just feeling like there's got to be more to life. I had been clean and sober now for about 2 years. I had started to develop and really take a look inside of myself and start to, see really who the real David was. And I think for a lot of people, they live their entire lives and they don't really get to experience who they really are, right? I mean, for a lot of us, we kind of, go through life and I can't remember who said it, but they said, most men die at 30. They just don't get buried until they're 70 or 80.
That's right.
And I mean, that was where I was I felt like this, at this turning point when I was on a construction job one day, and this guy named John came up to me and he was pitching one of these work from home deals, right? And of course, I was very skeptical and negative. I'd been programmed by society. I'd been programmed by, media and everything else, because at that time I'd come home and I'd watch constant negative news all night, and I'd sit in front of the idiot box and BS in, so it was BS out. But this guy came and he was persistent. He came every day. He was so excited about this thing, and finally I took the money from that construction job and I got involved in that business. Well, 6 months later, after struggling, beating my head, going through all of the things that most people go through and quit, right? I was at a turning point to where I knew that it was either time to give it up or it was time to figure it out, right? And that's when I got involved on the internet. And I stumbled across a couple of people who had some information, and I, of course, at first beat my head against that wall because, I didn't hardly know how to turn a computer on, but I got involved in online marketing, and within 3 months after that, went full-time in my business. I was driving an old Ford 1990 F-150, had the paint peeling off of it, the hood, I'd go drive faster than 45 miles an hour down the highway and paint chips would
Feels
fly
like you're
off.
re-entering the atmosphere.
I just keep going. I wouldn't even look back. I had to literally start this truck with a screwdriver.
Yeah.
And it was like the 4th of July every time I started it. And I would always, especially when I was going to business meetings and stuff like that, I'd park like 2 or 3 parking lots away.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I didn't want anybody
You
to,
can't have anybody see that.
see. And
No.
people thought I was stealing this truck because I had the screwdriver, and I
Sure.
would pop the hood. But then when they
People
walked
probably
up
think
and,
we stole this, dude.
well, yeah, they walked up and they saw the truck and they'd go, he ain't stealing that.
No,
That ain't to be stole.
No.
So I got on the internet, and I stumbled and I fumbled and I failed,
Yeah.
right? But I failed forward instead of failing back and quitting. I think whenever we try something new, I think it's to be expected. And anybody who's telling you that you're not going to have struggles and you're not going to have
But did you really feel that
issues.
way at the time, like you were failing forward, even though, I mean, or did you?
I had all
honestly?
kinds of feelings.
Yeah.
I had all kinds of feelings, but the one thing that I knew was that there was no turning back. Right? I knew that I was going to do whatever.
What was
it
waiting
took.
for you if you turned back?
What was waiting for me was the same pain and misery that I experienced my entire life. Most people, and I don't know if you can relate to this or not, but most people, they spend their entire lives making promises that they never follow through with.
Yeah, sure.
And I was that guy. I had spent my entire life saying, I'm going to quit doing this, or I'm going to stop doing this, or I'm going to start being a dad, or I'm going to start whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And I'd always made these promises to myself and never followed through. So I was at a point now to where, I wanted to give my daughter the life that she deserved. I wanted to give my family the life that they absolutely deserved. Did I deserve it on all days? Well, absolutely I did. Most days I didn't feel like I did.
Yeah.
But I knew that if I didn't do if I didn't follow through with this, right, that I was just going to get caught up in the vicious circle of doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, expecting a different result, which was quitting.
Yep.
Right? Quitting, stopping, reverting back to my best thinking, to being caught up in my bad habits. And I didn't quit. I didn't stop. I figured a couple of things out. I got around the right people. I found some people who gave me the right information, which is why I love you, because I've spent the day here talking to you. The truth of the matter is your biggest priority is your reputation, to make sure that what you're doing and telling people is good information that's going to help them. Not everybody out there has your best intentions in mind. If you're somebody who's just getting started online or in business, it's important that you surround you. I wouldn't have Sam on a yacht today, masterminding with him, figuring out how we could help each other, if you weren't somebody who, number one, is ethical, right?
Yeah.
And there's a couple of things that are important to me. Somebody's got to be hungry. They've got to be open-minded and willing, and they've got to be ethical, right? Number one's hungry. This guy's obviously hungry. I think that's a question that you need to ask yourself. Are you really hungry? Do you really want it? Do you really want to do something
But everybody says,
different?
of course I want it, Dave.
Yeah.
I want it, of course.
Yeah, but
I want to be a millionaire.
absolutely.
I want to be on the yacht with you.
And that's the lip service
Yeah.
that's so easy to give ourselves.
Yeah.
It's so easy to give ourselves that lip service, and that was a lip service that was causing me so much pain. I was a victim of life, so I thought. It was this person, this place, this thing that was at fault for where I was at.
Yeah.
And how you can relate that to your life is maybe it's the job, maybe it's the wife or the husband, maybe it's the way you were raised. Whatever the case may be, we've all got a crutch that we love to get.
Some are very good reasons.
They're great reasons. And I'm telling you, there's always one important lesson that I learned about life and being an entrepreneur is there's always two sides to every coin.
Yeah.
There's always a glass half empty and half full way of looking at things. And the truth of the matter is I had always looked at it on the tail. I'm not going to say the head, right?
Yeah.
The tail side of the coin. Well, anyways, I was done with that thinking because it got me nowhere. So when I was building my business and I was getting started, man, I was just determined to maybe not get everything right, but not quit, right? And change my attitude. So every day I would put stuff into my head that was going to benefit me and help me, and I started to think differently. I started to act differently. I started to talk differently, and within 5-6 months I went full-time in my business. I didn't have a bunch of money. I was still driving that old 1990 Ford F-150. There wasn't a huge physical transformation, but I was doing enough because I put myself in the right place around the right people, the right information, to start to get results, right?
Do you think when you did that though, did you think that I don't want to say magically attracted, because I'm not really going there, but do you believe that what you put inside, do you think it was as simple as ingesting that information that allowed you to start to transform into a different person, which in turn brought different people into your life? Because we're talking about networking. So did you believe that that construction worker sleeping in this studio apartment could have attracted the same people that you can attract today? And if so, what's the line that connects A to B there that got you from this mindset to that mindset and brought these people into your life?
I mean, I honestly think that because I've seen it now, because we've literally got people all across the country, all across the world succeeding, and whether they've earned their first commission online or whether they're making 5 or 6 figures a month, right? Everybody starts in the same place. Now, there's bound to be somebody watching this video that says, "Oh no, they don't. What's the real secret? Right. I know you had a foot up." The truth of the matter is if you literally knew me a couple of years ago, you would absolutely realize that I was quite possibly maybe even in a more difficult situation than the majority of the people that are. Now, that's not to minimize your issues,
sure,
but I was at rock bottom. What I've seen now is I've seen people who just have the hunger, the honesty, the willingness, and they're coachable. They're not in particularly great circumstances, but people right now are dying for an authentic, transparent message from people.
Yeah.
So with that transparent message, just being yourself and with a different thinking process, right? I believe that you can. Stair-step your way to success regardless of where you're at right now. And no, it's not going to all come windfalls in overnight.
Yeah.
But everybody starts from somewhere. So I believe that it absolutely has to do with what you're putting in and then what you're putting out and who you're surrounding yourself and spending all your time with.
I really believe that too, because when I was in corporate, I had the choice of hanging around the guys at the water cooler and the country club. And,
yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I was doing pretty well with a 6-figure job and stock options, but that's not who I wanted to be the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So I would go to the library at noon, and this is what I would get back in the day, the CDs. I'd rent them from the library,
right.
And I would ride around in my car eating out of a lunch bag.
Yeah.
Out of my company car and eating while I was listening to these personal development CDs, just so I could listen to how somebody who was free talked.
Right.
Because they talk differently.
Right.
And I figured if I could learn how they talk, then I'll attract those types of people into my life. Because all I was attracting into my life was other people that had a job. And I'm not saying everybody has a job is a bad person. I'm just saying I didn't want to be that person. That's all. Because I wanted to see my kids. So it's interesting that you and I are together talking, because Dave and I were talking off camera about the individuals that he's actually shared time with, spoken on the phone. People are now seeking you out. I mean, some heavy hitters online and offline. You ever pinch yourself and say, I'm really attracting a who's who of the online and offline marketing world? And a few years ago, I was a homeless dude. I mean, I just think it's amazing. Maybe I'm amazed, man. Do you ever pinch yourself?
Totally, man. Totally pinch myself. And you look at the outside perspective of what's happened as far as physical. I mean, the company that I own has done over $40 million in sales in the last 15 months, right?
And you say that not laughing. I say that. It's amazing. $40 million in 15 months.
Yeah, $40 million in sales. We've got just past the 100,000 customer mark, right? We're in the top 200 most traffic sites in the entire country, top 400 in the entire world. We're getting well over 1 million unique visitors to our site each day.
And now you have every marketer knocking on your door.
Well, but here's where I believe why I'm attracting people. And I mean, the truth of the matter is I'm honestly no different than the majority of the people that are watching this video. I'm no different than you are either, man. Here's what I think the defining factor is in really attracting success and successful people to you. Because the truth of the matter is I used to hate hearing this, but your income will be in direct proportion to the 5 people that you hang around with the most.
Yep.
But I used to hate hearing that. I mean, I thought that stuff was just absolute hogwash. But here's what I think the defining factor is that we've done all of these big stats that I'm giving you now, but more than anything, right? More than anything, what you'll find with me, what you'll find with Sam, what you'll find with people who are really thriving in the marketplace right now. It's not that, it's the people who have the ability to just be authentic with their audience and just tell them the truth. No matter how sometimes ugly it is. I mean, for God's sakes, if the majority of the people that you know and that I know heard me telling you that I struggled with drug addiction, alcoholism, and was homeless, the PR department would be having a heart attack. What are you doing?
Right.
You know, I mean, just tell them everything but that. Kind
Leave
of
that out.
ambiguously, just kind of tiptoe around that, and just tell them that you went to community college, and got a couple of hours. No, don't mention the fact, Dave, that you dropped out in 9th grade, right?
Yeah.
Don't drop out. Don't talk about the fact that you had a daughter when you were 16 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, don't talk about any of that stuff. But the truth of the matter is these days people need to hear the truth. I mean, you get to a certain point in your business, and for me anyways, and I know for you too, this is why I think we're clicking so much, is because it's one thing, and this is something that I've really figured out, because I believe you've got to get up every day and find something to get inspired about. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I still do.
No doubt.
It's like, and I think Zig Ziglar said this, I'm not sure, but inspiration, getting inspired is very similar to taking a shower. Last week's shower has nothing to do with how you smell today.
That's right.
Right? And so I believe that an authentic message, and I believe that when you put yourself in the right situation, you're putting the right stuff in, the right stuff comes out, and people appreciate that. It resonates with them. And at the end of the day, you look at a guy who was homeless just several years back. You look at a guy who was,
bankrupt.
In a cubicle. I mean, and some of the stories that you told me today were just absolutely hilarious. That'll be another
They probably
video.
heard them all, man.
Yeah, I mean, you look at a couple of guys like that who are killing it and crushing it online and crushing our business, and then you look at people who just are out there who just can't get over themselves and their egos and what everybody thinks about them. And I mean, I care what you think for you.
It's true.
So I think that really the real hit is, at the end of the day, I can success, other people around me success. So there's something that clicks. Huge payoff when you can be successful. It's just that's who's saying, dude, I mean, is all I need is an extra 100 a week right now. And I'm telling you that what I challenge you to do is stretch your vision, stretch your idea of what success means to you, and stretch your imagination about what's really going to fulfill you in life. Because for me these days, it's not as much about making money as it is about having an impact on people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's really made the big difference in my life, the way that I feel, the way that I operate, is that I found my why, and my why was not what I thought it was.
Yeah, I believe that.
My why was not. I mean,
I
for my entire life, I wanted to change my circumstances for my family and everybody else except me. And then finally I said to myself one day, I said, Dave, you actually deserve this stuff. And that's when I actually started changing.
Bingo.
Right? But then I started getting successful inside of business. And then my why changed again, because I said, man, this is cool for me to succeed. And this is actually why we started our company in the first place, was because we were building teams and we were crushing online, but it was hard for people to actually duplicate our success.
Yeah.
Right? Because I mean, I was working like I had superhuman powers. I'd work 12 hours a day in construction, come home and work, another 8 hours at night. I was sleeping for like 4 hours a night.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a lot of people out there who just don't have the ability to put that kind of time in. And so, the real payoff for me over the last year and a half really in my business has been seeing other people succeed. And that was a kind of a long answer to your question.
No, man, I think the whole thing about networking and really getting to a place to where, that you can, what you've been able to do is add a tremendous amount of value to a lot of people.
Right.
Myself included. And you were able to do that from a guy who started way back. I mean, seriously, dude. I mean, you hear the zero to hero stories a lot, but we spent the whole day together today, and I don't think I've heard this kind of a story before, and it's just great to be able to network, to be able to mastermind and be able to meet new people. Like, I'm really happy we met. I'm not just saying that. I'm really happy we met, because when we throw out ideas that are really, most people would think are wacky, we say, maybe that's possible. that may be possible.
Yeah.
You know, and you tell a crazy story and you realize it's not so crazy because you did it, or he did it, or some other entrepreneur did it. And the whole purpose of this video was to help inspire, motivate, and empower you that's watching this right now, just to be yourself, be authentic, monetize your story. It's okay to be different. You know, abnormal is above normal, and understand that. Look, man, if people don't think you're crazy, wouldn't you agree that who wants to be part of? I mean, I'm not saying do anything illegal or unethical, but we all have that wild side inside of us, and it's okay to explore that, and it's okay to network with new people, because I think you're one connection away. And I'll leave you with this thought. I really do believe everybody is one connection away from exploding their business and really exploding their life. And I think this connection that I've made with Dave Sharp over the past 3 or 4 months is exactly that connection that I envisioned towards the latter part of last year. So Dave, dude, it's awesome being down here. But even if we were hanging in a restaurant in Cincinnati, Ohio, man, it would still be great company, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah. See you guys on the beaches of the world.
Take care, everybody.
Folks, obviously the income examples discussed in this video are extraordinary. The income claims presented are not intended to serve as a guarantee of income. Instead, they're designed to give you an idea of what's possible. Success in this business requires leadership, hard work, and dedication. Since we want to help you make an informed decision, we've gone above and beyond with our income disclosure document. If you want to see the average earnings, please visit the page at www.empowernetwork.com/income.php.